Hey, this is Matt. I'm getting ready to live stream here. Just checking all the settings and everything. And let's see. All right. Um, I think we're ready to go. Let me just double check um, the YouTube. Okay, it looks like I'm going. All right, good enough. Well, let's see. It is Wednesday, February 10th, and into the middle of the week. I've got a number of things that I wanted to do today, which one of them was to do some video editing. What I do is a couple of interviews with people on Zoom and then post them either to my website or their website. Let's see, so far I've done two attorneys. I have one attorney I've been working with for a while. Um, and let's see, I have someone in health and wellness, Jennifer Sutton. So you all might like that. That's a little bit off the beaten path, something really nice. It's called What If, and I'll bring that up a little later. So let's see. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Shelly Palmer. Shelly Palmer is one of the guys in tech who's really done a lot with CES and a lot of bringing conversations about innovation and where tech is going, particularly in media. Um, and he's just really a really good source of information to try to listen to if you get time. So I'm going to bring up one of his. I'm going to bring up one of his the videos that he does, and this is let's see. This one is about Waze. Is Apple trying to run over Waze? So we'll bring that up here for you, and here we go.
Is Apple trying to run over Waze? iOS 14.5 beta has added Waze like reporting features to Apple Maps so it can crowdsource information about accidents, speed cameras, or other hazards. Up to now, Apple Maps, if it was competitive at all, was competitive to Google Maps, mostly because in its early days, Apple Maps was famous for epic inaccuracies. And that's a lot of baggage for a travel app to carry. Anyway, today, Apple Maps is well integrated with Apple CarPlay, and it's both accurate and convenient. So, add some crowdsourced reporting features to a preloaded, accurate, and convenient map app, and Waze could end up as roadkill. Both Apple and Google users are going to be the winners here. Waze has been slow to innovate, and this Apple news is sure to motivate Waze to step on the gas. iPhone or Android, Apple Maps or Waze? Leave a comment and let me know what you think.
That's Shelly Palmer. If you can get a hold of Shelly Palmer, he's got a lot of. He's basically hashtag strategy hacker is the one for that one there. Um, so let's see what else is going on today. Um, his next strategy hacker event um, in 3 minutes 44 at 3:44, 3 minutes 44. All right, I'm not sure about that. All right, so let's see. The other thing I wanted to get to today, yeah, that's going to be in 3 minutes and 44 seconds. All right, so that's um, the other the other thing I wanted to kind of get to today was this. Just a quick note. More than 2 in 5 Americans prefer DIY service calls even after pandemic. Um, that's an opportunity for being able to um, provide information and education and then a virtual sales call. And people are talking about how this is February 9th, by the way, so it's fairly recent, but it talks about, even though you adhere to safety measures, wearing face coverings and social distancing, um, I would allow a technician to fix something in the outdoor area of my house, but not indoors. So if you can provide remote guidance, that is, ask your customer to hold the phone up, um, maybe take a snapshot of it to try to provide that diagnostic information either on a Zoom call or over the phone or FaceTime, whatever tech you can use. It gives them that added um, element of safety. And it could also reduce the amount of time that you actually spend on site. Certainly, I think giving that kind of information and knowledge without charging someone, you'll have to make that evaluation yourself for the business. But it does, I think, foster a sense of commitment, looking out for that other person, looking out for your customer. And then when they do need you to come in, it's going to have to be, I have to come in the house. You're more likely to trust them. All right. And that's really the big thing about this is trust. Sorry about that. Kind of moving these windows around here. Let's see. All right. So what do. I usually put that in there. Supposedly I have it set up so that it will actually put the live stream in here, but I didn't set that up today. I just kind of just got it going today. Um, let's see if there's anything else in the news to chat about. I'm really going crazy with this. Sorry. All right, here we go. All right, there we go. All right. So let's see what else is in the news to talk about. Um, some of these should be actually have been updated. Some of these are 4 days old. I need to just punch that in. Let me see what else I got down here. How to keep kids engaged in school with games. Um, I would say that even works. Um, Working with even doing webinars and Zoom calls and stuff like that. Um, let's see. Cloud photo backups could reside on beams of light transmitted between satellites instead of huge power-hungry server farms. That would be interesting. Since light is pretty abundant coming from the sun, I guess if you can bundle it and put it into lasers I'm sorry, um, lasers, if you could put it in fiber optic or something like that, you could actually store it physically in a satellite, and then between the satellites, that would be very interesting. I'll follow up on that. Um, Mount Sinai study finds Apple Watch can predict COVID-19 diagnosis up to a week before testing. Well, let's go ahead and get that out there. Um, Space tech, emigrate to Mars. Shopify expands its payment option. Puppy Bowl. Um, I'll get it past that one. Solar charging may be the key to electric off-roading. Obviously, that's going to be a good thing. Let's see. EU's lead data supervisor for most of big tech is still using Lotus Notes. Well, I think that's hilarious. Um, let's see. Electric vehicles are improving so fast, use data may be obsolete. That's interesting. Let's see. Star count could reveal how COVID-19 affected light pollution, right? Game-based ed tech. All right, so this might be one of the things we follow up is gamification. Maybe this needs to be a little bit more fleshed out. Huawei CEO wants to talk to Joe Biden. I bet he does. Um, how to set up an AI team. This will be something probably I'll go into as well. Since I work in marketing automation, I'm finding that deploying this across the company, you do need to have a lot of buy-in from different players to show them how it makes their life easier. Um, NSA's tips to keep your phone from tracking you. All right. Well, all right. Listen, today's kind of a quick one. I've got a lot going on. I had really wanted to show you some of the video editing, but in terms of just really where I am today and so on and so forth, kind of in a playful mood. Oh, let me show you what the What If Wellness thing is. All right. So, What If is basically starting off with being able to get into your thinking pattern about process and what you kind of bring into your life. And the interview that I've done is with Jennifer Sutton, and she has a website, whatifwellness.net. I had her on my podcast, and I also did a video with her, which was 3 hours. Um, I've got to get in there and edit it. I've pulled 20 minutes down off the 3 hours. Um, so this is the card. What if? Okay. So the way you're thinking right now, go ahead and grab a thought and just take your thought basically as, are you in a positive mode right now or slightly negative? I guess it's 2 o'clock, so you might be having that post lunch dip, and you're maybe thinking a thought that's maybe not totally positive. Let's jump up and get it all done. So one of the cards I'll throw for you is let's see. Oh, this is a good one. That's a good one too. These are all good ones. Okay. Um, all right. So I'm going to do this one. Okay. So I'm going to show you the card, and it goes, "What if the problem I am facing is an answer to my deepest question?" So that could be anything. I mean, whatever your problem you're facing could be anything from sales and marketing. It could be financial. It could be personal. Could be romantic, coming up on Valentine's Day or whatever. But what if, okay, the problem that you're facing was really the answer, um, the answer to that. All right, so I wanted to just thank Jennifer Sutton for bringing this to my attention. Anyway, she does this for individuals as well as corporate groups. I'm going to go ahead and do the video and bring that video to you. And maybe on the next stream. I don't know if I actually have it on my. I know I have it on Facebook. I don't think I put it on YouTube yet. Um, Let me see if. And I know it's in the podcast. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna wait for that to come up. I don't know if you're gonna wait. Um, well, there's another way of doing it too. All right. Well, I really I was thinking about doing this from the very beginning, which was to go ahead and go into my editing here and just go ahead and put my show you some of the how the editing and stuff works. It's a little different. All right. Let me just get out of. Well, maybe I'll leave this here. Put this over here for now. All right. So this was Jennifer Sutton, and all right. Yeah, there she is. All right. So let's see. We were editing this. I'm gonna go back into editing. Let's see. I'm with Jen Sutton, who's a coach who's been helping me deal with I'm with Jen Sutton, who's a coach who's been helping me deal with my mindset for helping other businesses, helping myself, which is really the key to this. So she'll tell us about that in a second. But just so that you know, it's the website is whatifwellness.net. All right, so that's where the website is for Jennifer Sutton. And if you want to go to that site right now and then come back later, we'll, this will be recorded. You could see it anytime. All right. What? Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and show you that. Let's see where that's, where I can actually get that going here. And I'm looking to get a full screen on this, and I'm not able to get a full screen. So let's see. Oh, dang it. I'm with Jen Sutton, who's a coach who's been helping me deal with my mindset for helping other businesses, helping myself, which is really the key to this. And she'll tell us about that in a second. But just so that you know, it's the website is whatifwellness.net. All right, so that's where the website is for Jennifer Sutton. And if you want to go to that site right now and then come back later, we'll, this will be recorded. You could see it anytime. All right. Whatifwellness.net. What I'm saying, this is one of the things Jennifer shared with me was um, what if cards. And each one of them, you can get them from Jennifer, but there's just lots of different ways of encountering yourself when you're thinking about something. And starting the day off with an unpleasant thought is not going to give you a good day. But if you could start yourself off with, what would my life look like if I love myself more? Do you even know how to do that? That's what I ask myself in the morning. What is that like? How do I feel that? And then when I do feel it, how do I keep it? Um, so, Jennifer, am I saying anything that makes sense? Is this all that am I a big floof over here just making stuff up, or how does this all work? How did you find this? How did you encounter?
So it's actually kind of a roundabout route, as it usually is when you've created something that grew out of other things. And the way that I discovered the what if stuff was all the way back when I was a martial artist, or when I was in martial arts training in Alaska. We always believed that our mindset created a lot of the situation around us. And we would look at stories of the way to learn how, first of all, we would train our bodies and our minds to respond to whatever we needed, but we would also train our bodies and our minds to create the situations that we preferred,
Okay.
so that we would never actually have to use our physical skills. That was always the goal, was to bring our presence being enough. And so I learned that back in my 20s, and I have always tried to bring that in my life in some way. In 2013, I had gotten away from martial arts for about 20 years when I moved to California, or 15 years, I guess. When I moved to California, had my son, moved to New York, was raising him here, and I just didn't have a dojo nearby to train in. And I didn't want to start my own until finally in 2013, I started thinking that it was time for me to at least teach self defense, if not full on martial arts. And at the same time, I went to a training called Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley. And Mike Dooley teaches that there are that that our thoughts become things. That's his main, 3 words: thoughts become things. He
Okay.
always holds up 3 fingers. Um, And I agree with that. Obviously, this sweater was a thought before it was a thing. And my whole life was a thought before it became what it is now. But it's hard to believe that in some of the more challenging situations, right? It's hard to believe that our thoughts created that. But maybe it didn't create that, but it created the opportunity for us to learn something new. And that's kind of how I look at more challenging situations, is that it's leveling me up to another place. When I went to his training, I was just starting to get back into being a martial arts teacher. And like I said, I was focusing on just teaching self defense at first because I didn't have my full skill set back up. And I wanted to just focus on where I know I can offer the most benefit. And so I went to this training that was completely non physical. But while I was sitting in it, there was a breakout session in the early morning that I made it into. And it was about the science behind how thoughts become things and how our brains create associations and how our brains give us what we've always expected until we teach them to do something else. So it's basically the science behind mindset, and fast thinking is the is what the breakout session was officially on. And he was trying to show us how the idea of what Mike Dooley teaches is actually proven in long-standing science. And what I heard, the part that really struck me the most, was that we could start hearing things, seeing things, smelling things, tasting things, thinking things that we'd never seen or heard or smelled or tasted or thought before, if we teach our fast brains that one, it's safe, and two, we want it. Because the very first job of your fast brain, it's the gatekeeper. It's the thing that says, ho ho, oh no, 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 that's not safe for you. So I can't let that vibration through. I can't let that scent through. I can't let this new information through because that hasn't been safe for you in the past, and therefore it's not safe for you today. But as we all know, we grow and we change. What's safe for a 5-year-old child or isn't safe for a 5-year-old child is probably safe for you now as an adult. And you can allow new information in that your body protected you from back then. So, what's really cool is the fast brain is is a lockdown, but you can open it up. And the easiest way to open it up is by instilling doubt. So right now, it believes it knows everything. Our fast brain is a know it all. And it's great because it does know a lot. And it's literally taking 2 billion bits of information in at every second that we're sitting here. Even though we're both sitting in fairly quiet situations, there's still 2 billion bits of data coming at us constantly. And then if we're in a fairly safe feeling space, as in not in fight or flight, then our fast brain allows about 60 or 70, not 700, not 7,000, and not 7 billion, or 700,000 even, 60 or 70 bits of information to our thinking brain. So we get 2 billion every second, and our thinking brain gets 65 or 70. It's like it just chops, gets rid of everything it doesn't think we want or need or will benefit from. So we don't even perceive it. We don't even know that it's there. So how do you change what information is being given to your brain? So your executive function, so that you can act on that. If you're in fight or flight or in an extreme danger situation, it gives you even less. It's as low as 4 bits. As few as 4 bits of information can come through at a time. When when you're fast brain perceives that you're in danger and needs to narrow your focus to exactly what you need to know to get out. And that's very helpful. It's actually wonderful. So I started playing with the what if questions in a self defense way. And I started saying, what if I could see shadows more easily? What if I could see reflections? Um, see information in reflections that would be helpful to me. And I literally started training my brain to experience the world differently so that I could be safer in the world. And I had a couple experiences where it worked, and it was so fun. When I looked back and I realized what had actually happened, it sometimes feels like time slows down, and I think that people have that experience even when they haven't trained their brain. But when I intentionally shifted into it, like one night I was driving down a dark and rainy road in fall, or yeah, late fall, in here in upstate New York. And I remembered that there's a danger of deer, especially in the area I was in and in that time of year and that time of night, crossing the road. So I suddenly said, I basically gave my brain the job of seeing the sides of the road as clearly as the center of the road so that I would notice if there was any movement. And sure enough, didn't a deer come running out? And I saw the movement at the side of the road very easily. And long before I needed to, I slammed on my brakes, skidded sideways, and that deer was standing right in front of my car, um, just standing there and looking at me, and it was the coolest thing. It was like magic. He looked at himself. He like looked up and down his body, looked back at me windshield through the windshield, like eye contact, and then he looked down at his body again, and then he jumped up and twirled and ran away. It was kind of like a gift, a reminder that I was on the right track. So that's how I started doing it. Was I started asking for new information. I started asking to see how that might work in the real world. I wanted actual proof to myself before I started bringing it out. And then I started seeing the other applications. The I started with the self defense because that's what I was teaching. And then I started seeing how it could help in everyday life, and then how it could help in interpersonal relationships and in business. So what you're looking at and what you have is my original deck, and that's my overall most helpful questions. And now I also have an activist leadership deck that's specifically for people who are trying to make change in the world in whatever way they think is moving toward a higher and better life. Oh, I've lost sound again.
All right. No, I
There
was
we go.
on mute. I was on mute.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, because the heat came on. And also sometimes when someone's telling a story, I kind of go into this Zen mode and they say, "You're breathing into the mic. Stop breathing." I could hear you breathing. Um, that was amazing. Now I have a lot of questions and a lot of interesting things that are kind of parallels. Are you? Yeah, hey, I'm going to pause it there for a second. I'm not sure if, this is, really where, you need this type of additional training or coaching or whatever. Maybe what I can do is I'll finish this up today, and then I'm going to go ahead and edit part two, and I'll give you part two. I guess when I'm done editing it. How's that? All right. So I'm going to go ahead. I'll go ahead and continue rolling this now, and then we'll watch this, and then that'll wrap the stream for today. And then, like I said, it's been about a week, so I'll get on part two today, and I'll give you guys part two tomorrow. All right. You are you able to, in other words, when you perceive the information flow, the 2 billion bits, is there a conscious like getting into that safety zone. In other words, not being fight or flight, but really getting into that safety zone. Can you actually feel the opening up of additional data going to the thinking brain? Because it's almost like half. In other words, fight or flight, you said was like about 4 bits.
That's a
In other
really
words,
good
it
question.
shuts
I'm not
down or
sure. Yeah. I know that people feel better when we switch out of fight or flight, but I haven't asked them to perceive the world before and perceive the world after. That's a really good question. Maybe I should do that. I have a training call this week where I'll have probably 20 people online. So, and they come pretty, keyed up at work. So
sure.
so some of them might be in fight or flight. Not all of them, of course, depends on how chill they are at work. Um,
Well, we don't start our day chill. I mean, when you think about it, the majority of people are not getting up in the morning and listening to a meditation or Abraham Hicks or anybody like that's kind of soothing them and placing them in a center, placing them in this day is within your emotional control, or you're able to manifest things based on your thinking. I noticed, I mean, I've been checking out Abraham Hicks for a while, and this idea of manifestation through thought is very apparent to me. But the other part of it was the idea of the mind body connection. So it's very hard to get the mind to a chill place if the body's all revved up. So then that goes back to the breathing. And if you can get the belly breathing and calm down, then the rest of the stuff follows. So I haven't been teaching that or telling clients or anybody about that. I've just been doing it.
yeah, no,
Um,
that's really cool. I definitely, I mean, that's the basis of what I teach is get out of fight or flight so that you start perceiving the world differently. But I've never actually asked if they could feel going from 4 bits to 65 bits. So that's a really interesting question to see if like the world lights up differently. Um, I know that people say they feel more relaxed and they start getting new ideas. But I don't know if if the texture of the world changes. Yeah. So the other piece that I've been doing since I think 2007 was when I started. I've tried to go back and figure out when I actually learned about it, but I think it was 2007. 2008, I went to a master's training with EFT masters and Gary Craig. Um, and then after that, I just started practicing with a lot of different people and then started serving people. But back then, I was learning EFT and using it one on one before I learned the what if stuff. And then I started combining EFT with the what if, and it completely changed the outcomes. It shifted people so quickly, and it was fun, because you
right,
started thinking, what would my life look like if I was happier? Even just saying that, your brain starts to answer that. That's the beautiful thing about asking questions is that your fast brain allows it then tells your fast brain it has to filter information differently. If you say a statement, your fast brain proves that with the information it already has. But with a question, it's like, I have to find data. I have to create the answer to this.
just wanted to jump in a second here and talk about it. From a sales and marketing standpoint, if you're like writing copy and then in that copy you start to ask questions or even begin your copy asking questions, you're bringing that prospect or person that you're trying to persuade or communicate with, you're bringing them into a place where you're creating conflict, you're creating some friction. Part of their brain's trying to answer the question, but you're rolling on trying to give them information. This is one of the reasons why Jennifer's stuff is so interesting and compelling. Just want to jump in and mention that.
And it starts letting different information through. So when I was doing tapping with them, we were clearing physical concerns or where we'd put those things when we were 5 years old. So when we were 5 and we got yelled at, that feeling got put in our body someplace and is a physical reminder that pops up when it's triggered again, right? So
Right.
that's that's kind of the simple way of saying how it works. And with EFT, we were identifying that spot and we were clearing it, but we weren't always figuring out what we wanted there instead. And by asking the what if questions, one, we moved to it being safer to release it faster. So we were able to release that old pattern more quickly. And then we were able to start choosing the new pattern that we want. And sometimes people don't know what they want. They've never dreamed that they could feel differently, whether it's a pain that they've had for 40 years. And I've had fun doing with some of those, that they they say I've had this my since I was 20, and it's never gone away. And I say, well, what would you rather feel? And they're like, well, I'd like it to be gone. Well, what does that feel like? And people don't know
Yeah.
because they haven't had it. And it's the same thing with emotional concerns. What would it feel like to feel strong when somebody's yelling at you? To be able to take that as good information and reflect it back with kindness or compassion or understanding that if they're yelling, it's about them, it's not about you. It might be giving you good feedback, but their yelling is not usually necessary. Um, so usually they're yelling, their heightened state is about them, not about you. So it just by using the what if along with the tapping takes you out of fight or flight, and then it also helps you start creating new neural pathways that you choose instead of what accidentally happened to you or what happened to you in defense. And it's really just amazing when people start choosing what they would rather have. So just like you were saying that you would say, is this the thought that I want to have? You might not have known what the better thought is. But even just saying, what if there's a better thought? Even just the fact that you said, is this the thought I want to have? That's instilling doubt. And that's enough for your fast brain to say, oh, I think I need to let in other information because that's a question. So that just that first thing. And I don't know if you know the work of Byron Katie.
No.
Her her work is called The Work, um, with a capital W,
Okay.
and The Work by Byron Katie. And her big thing is that you give your issue, you say what your problem is, and then she just says, "Is it true?"
Uh,
And almost always it's really fun to watch her videos because you watch the participant's face. They're, my mom is this way with me and I blah 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 blah, and then she says, is that true? And their faces just completely shift. And they're like, oh, um I always thought it was true.
right.
And then their brain starts giving them other information and even taking old data that it's stored and showing them old memories in a new light. And it's like magic, and it's so simple, and it can be really fun.
So do you yeah, hey, it's me again. I just wanted to kind of, go back and point out really what was happening there. The EFT is a tapping technique, and what it does is it takes the feeling that was imprinted on a person, usually high level stress, could be trauma, but it's fight or flight. So it's basically fear based. And what the tapping does is it breaks the neural path to that. What Jennifer was saying is that what a lot of people do with EFT is they break the pattern, the neural path, but they don't replace it with something that they do want. And her technique, and what she trains people on, is first you break the physical connection where you were in fight or flight, and that's usually attached to a given situation or a person, or a moment. So the example we use is if you were yelled at as a kid and it made you kind of clench up. Naturally, when you go to work, if the boss or supervisor yells at you for something, you're going to tense up and clench up. Now, that may not be appropriate because the manager may or supervisor may just be trying to explain something and they raise their voice or whatever, but that doesn't mean that your physical reaction to it should be linked to all physical reactions you had to being yelled at all the way back to a kid. And the idea of this compounding as it goes along, the EFT breaks that apart. All right. We talked a little bit about it for management techniques. We talked a little bit about it for persuasion, just being able to communicate as well. Being able to communicate better with friends and family. I'm gonna let it run now and just kind of wrap up.
Is your practice about guiding people through areas that they identify, that they self-identify, or do you kind of play around with them to find out where they are unaware of themselves having issues and problems that they might not want to encounter?
It
Because
depends on what they come to me with,
okay,
how they come to me. Like, I traded EFT sessions with another really advanced practitioner one day just to play, just to see how I did it and how she did it. And I went to her with an actual issue, and she said, I don't really have anything to work on. And I was like, okay. So we just tapped on, even though I don't have anything to work on, what if this makes me feel better anyway? And immediately, she saw a whole issue that she'd been hiding from herself.
okay,
It was fascinating how, but she's also a pretty clear individual.
right.
So it was easy for her to make that leap, for her to open up and be vulnerable. Um, but it was really fun because she was like, we just did a whole session on something I didn't know I had an issue with, and it changed her, and she still refers back to that and thanks me for that. So, and I of course thank her for the work she did with me. Um,
Right.
but it's sometimes people come to me not knowing, they just know something's off, and they come and they say, I'm not really sure what I need to work on, but I know there's something that's holding me back. And we just start tapping on, even though I don't know. If I did know, what would it look like? And or if I did know, um, what color would it would be? And we just start taking apart different facets of it, even if we don't have the words for it yet. So it's just a it's I'm happy to do it with you today if you want to just try it. Because
So the entire session with Jen Sutton that day ran for over 2.5 hours. It's close to 3 hours. And right there, when she said, I'm happy to do it with you today, which she meant was to do the tapping, I was not ready to do it. So I danced around it a little bit, but we eventually did it. So we finished part one, the introduction to Jennifer Sutton, and whatifwellness.net. She talked to you about how she discovered, the idea of what if and possibility, and then how she linked it with the tapping, EFT tapping. So you can look that up. I'm going to put the resources that she mentioned in the video at the end of this. And part two is I'm going to go ahead and do some tapping. It took me a while to get to it, but I finally started it and got through it, and it changed my life. So if you're game, stay tuned for part two of Jennifer Sutton, whatifwellness.net, and I get into some tapping, and we'll see what that's like, and maybe it'll work for you. All right. Thank you for watching. Yeah, the tapping is really the thing. So Mike Dooley and Byron Katie, those are the resources that she mentioned. All right. I really got it. I got to start this editing. All right. And, all I can tell you is I'm bringing you things as they're coming to me and they're helping me get through the pandemic. Um, these are things that, I'm in various coaching groups, and there are different people in these groups that are, I think, useful to business owners. They're definitely useful on a personal basis. Um, I have a virtual CEO that's coming up. Um, I've got an attorney that actually did an interview with another attorney, which is quite interesting. If you have any problems in 2021 with any kind of housing, bankruptcy, foreclosure, credit, debt, whatever, you're going to want to hear from these two guys. Um, so, look, I'm doing a live stream here. I've got to get back to work. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up today. Listen, have a great Wednesday. I'll see you next time. I'm going to be bringing you part two of the tapping. If you're interested in any of these things, put a comment below or get in touch with me, Matt at officialchamber.com or Matt at McGinleyinfo.com. You can just drop me a line there. All right. Listen, have a great day. Stay safe and ask yourself, is this the thought I want to be thinking? What would my life be if I thought a different thought starting right now?